Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We are super excited to have a guest from Golden Gate University here to present for us. Before we get started, just a brief overview of what to expect. I will hand it over to our sales reps to introduce themselves in case you're unfamiliar, or maybe some reintroductions for some of you. Then we will hand it over to Rosita, who will do her presentation for the Golden Gate University. Then once she's done, I will, like I said, let everybody into the Zoom room and you can unmute and ask questions. We'll have a Q&A session. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to chat them into the Q&A function of Zoom and we'll get to it once we get to the Q&A section. But with that, I will hand it over to Rich.
Hi everyone, my name's Rich Murphy, and I'm in Taiwan at the moment, so I look after the Taiwan market and the Japanese and Korean markets as well. And always available if you need to drop me a line.
Maybe I follow Rich. Hello everyone. My name is Thúy, and I'm in Ho Chi Minh City right now. I look at Vietnam market and Indonesian and some other Southeast Asia country. So if you have any questions, please ask me.
Thank you, Thúy. Good morning, everyone. My name is Xin. I'm based in Beijing, and I'm responsible for mainland China and, of course, Hong Kong and Macau. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and also my colleagues. I don't think my colleagues here, but you may know them, which is based in Guangzhou and Hangzhou. So I just hand over to Rosita.
Thank you, Xin. I guess this is my turn. So my name is Rosita. I'm the Director of Global Education. I am actually originally from Indonesia. So thank you for coming in, whoever, Eva. At least that's the only Indonesian name there. But I also thank you for everybody who has attended this webinar, and thank you. I cannot appreciate enough for like your time here and also for your work and trying to get to know GGU and also working with us to bring in more students. So I guess I will start sharing my screen and start my presentations. Ooh, okay. So, I believe you are able to see my screen now. Let me.
Yep, it looks great.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So I just wanted to kind of share a little bit about myself, just a little bit. So I came here as international students 9 years ago, and I actually pursued Golden Gate University MBA degree. So I came here to San Francisco, and I can tell you at least firsthand experience from as an international students. And GGU is actually located right in the downtown San Francisco. And we're really surrounded by like a lot of big companies that you may already have heard because they're just like really globally. A couple of examples is LinkedIn, which I am sure that a lot of our students use, and Salesforce as well. Salesforce is actually, in fact, right across our street, and Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and and even Yelp. I don't know. I don't think a lot of Southeast Asia country actually use Yelp though, but it's Google. Even like some of the Google office is also here. So we are really surrounded by a lot of big companies, and it is really easy to kind of like just like network out there in like in the city in there. So this is basically our Golden Gate Bridge, and I know what you're thinking. Maybe like a lot of people ask me or ask us, is Golden Gate University kind of like inspired by the Golden Gate Bridge? No, because we are actually like founded earlier than Golden Gate Bridge. We actually started in as a YMCA in high school in 1851. So in 1901, like 10 years later, they decided to just found it as a Golden Gate College. And a little bit later, then we actually created Golden Gate University. And now, like as of now in 2023, we actually have 5 schools already, which is like School of Business, School of Taxation, School of Accounting, School of Undergraduate Studies, and School of Law. And we also are ranked as America's first university for adult learners in Washington Monthly for 4 consecutive years, in 2016 up to 2019. And basically, our mission is your mission and our students' missions. We are trying to prepare individuals to lead and serve. And then we actually have like provide the educations, like using the, sorry, utilizing our industrial expert in law, taxation, and business. So we have over 70,000 alumni because we have been around for really long. And we, like as of now, we have actually students around 3,300 students, in which 1,800 of them are graduate, 500 of them are undergraduate, and law is 700. And our average age is 34, but we are also very diverse. We have like students and employees from 48 countries all over the world, like from different gender, ethnicity, and socioeconomic as well. We have over 300 plus international students, and even our staff is also diverse. Like, look at me. I'm from Indonesia again, and I mentioned earlier in the beginning that our director of international admissions is also from Vietnam, and our vice provost is actually from Philippines. So we are really, really diverse in here. So Golden Gate University is regionally accredited, and the accreditation body is WASC, which is Western Association of Schools and Colleges Senior College and University Commission. I know it's a little mouthful, but basically we will usually just mention it WASC. So our psychological programs is the member of a California Board of Behavioral Science, whereas our public administration program is the member of Network of Schools of Public Policy, Affairs, and Administration, and our law school is accredited by the American Bar Association, State Bar of California, and also Association of American Law Schools. For some students, some of our students actually wanted to maybe like move to Canada, for example, and they would usually ask me, is this a West recognized institutions? Because there are some of the requirements is for them to send their transcripts to West. So yes, we are, because we are regionally accredited. Again, we then therefore West will accept our transcripts in there. So I mentioned earlier there are 70,000, like over 70,000 alumni. I believe now is like already a higher number because we actually just had our graduation last week. So, but then I cannot mention like every alumni that we had, but I just pick a couple of them. For example, Betty Yin and Fiona Ma, both of them are basically the 2 pillars of the California finances. So Betty is the California State Controller since 2015. She graduated in Master of Public Administration. And Fiona Ma, she is the California State Treasurer since 2019, and she graduated in MS Taxation. For our corporate leaders is Richard Peluso and Monique Moro from Inojust Capital and Cisco. There's also our Hong Kong billionaire Pollyanna Chu. I'm pretty sure maybe you've seen know as well. She is the Hong Kong businesswoman and billionaire, and also from our law school law student, a Juris Doctor. She Morgan Kristen. She is the federal judge on U.S. Court of Appeals. Mentioned earlier, 9 years ago, I was graduated as an MBA, and I took 3 concentrations. I was graduated in entrepreneurship, management, and human resource management. I know, just like anybody, I was an overachiever. However, unfortunately, 9 years ago, we have not had any STEM concentrations for MBA. So I only got 12 months of OPT or work authorization when I graduated, despite all of those concentrations. So now we actually converted 4 concentrations into STEM, which is information technology management, business analytics, IO psychology, and finance. The rest, we also have project management, leadership, and public administration. More STEM programs. So we actually have total 23 programs of that are STEM eligibles. We have the information technology management, business analytics with multiple, with a couple concentrations here. We also have Master of Arts in Industrial Organizational Psychology, finance, which is in finance or financial analytics, project management with IT concentrations, accounting, and taxation. So if you can see, even accounting and taxation, those programs are usually are not STEM, not considered as STEM, but we were able to add the STEM aspects to it in the advanced analytics concentration and technology and analytics concentrations. Accounting also have the non-STEM concentrations, which is the CPA, essentials of leadership, and taxation concentration. Leadership, law, human resources, public administration, and psychology are non-STEM programs, but they are still a really, really interesting programs to explore. So now we're talking about admissions. We actually have 3 intakes for admissions and throughout the year. So we have spring term, summer term, and fall term. Spring will usually start in January, early January. Summer will usually start in early May, and fall will usually start in early September. One semester or trimester, we call. I'm gonna use that term in exchange interchangeably, basically. So one trimester will be around 16 weeks, and we unlike other schools, we actually have a rolling admissions, which means the students can apply anytime. So they can apply, say, if they're planning to go in summer, even though summer starts in May, but they technically can apply. But we will not encourage that, because just like any international students out there, they will still need to go through the application process and then also have the visa application process. So we would usually suggest students to apply at least 2 months prior to the starting term. So say if students are interested in to start in around January in spring 2024, for example, then they can probably have their application starting around September or October, something like that, or just maybe at least at the very least November, because December is a little bit have a holidays in there. So just make sure that they have their own timeline. And just because they have submitted application doesn't mean they cannot change it. So say if they wanted to go in summer, they said, I know it's already April, but I want to try. But then at the end, they cannot make into the May. So we can always defer them and change it into the next trimester. Or if they wanted to withdraw, say you know what, maybe I'm just canceling my plan at all to go to the US, and I'm just going to withdraw. That is totally fine as well. And for the waiver codes, generally our application fee costs around $65. And because Wellspring is already our best partner, so we I'm pretty sure you already have your waiver codes in there. And once the students are in our system, we will still have our enrollment counselors who will be connecting with the students and also or the agents as well, to kind of guide them with the right documents, say hey, our application is missing something, we cannot move forward without this, can you please submit it to us. And then also visa guiding to your visa applications. We will usually also provide a sponsor letter for students to prepare them for the interviews. And also then once they got approved, then they will be we will also help them in registration. Now we're talking about money. So this is the tuition and fees. Just a little bit of information about this. This is the undergraduate programs. So to let you know, all the courses will be 3 credit units. So one semester or one trimester, For undergraduate programs, a student must take 4 courses per term in order to be considered as full-time. And there's also graduate programs, which is also 3 credit units per course, but for graduate programs, they will only need to take 3 courses per term in order to be considered as full-time. And by the way, students are allowed to take 2 consecutive terms and then 1 vacation term. So they can take 1 vacation term like completely off and say like, you know what, I'm tired I'm tired of studying for 8 months in a row. I wanted to take a break. They are allowed to do so, but they must take 2 trimester consecutively first. So the course per term, or sorry, the price per term will be around 5,500 per term. And for School of Business and Accounting, it's going to be around 9,800 per term. And for Public Administration, because they have 4 units per course, then they are only like students will be considered full-time by taking only 2 courses actually for Public Administration. Therefore, the course, the price will be lesser per term. It's only 6,600 per term. And a disclaimer though, for every international students, both undergraduate and graduate, they're actually going to be charged of in technology fee and international student fee of $85 and $275 per term. So also there's like an asterisk here, which I'm sure you already read. So some students actually paying with wire transfer, so just make sure to kind of pay like around 1 week before the due date, just to make sure they don't pass the due date. But then, you know, like after seeing all this, maybe you will have like you will ask me and say, Rosita, that is too expensive. Don't worry, GG got you like trying to help you in this. So for students who maybe have some issues in payment, then we will try to give them a tuition installment option, which I mentioned earlier that 1 trimester is 16 weeks or 4 months. So we will split their payment across 4 installments or per month. So with no interest, and they have to pay around $55 of installment fee per term, and they have to register by themselves in that link stated here. I also, like, sorry, not I, GGU also offered employment options, which means that the student can work on campus. Please keep in mind that international students are not allowed to work off campus, which is outside campus. So they can only work with us in GGU, which actually what I did before when 9 years ago. I started off as a student assistant, and the pay at the time was actually way less. I think it's only like around $8 per hours. But now it's actually already reaching up to 16.99 per hours. Or some department may actually offer more than that. And the hours allowed is around 19 hours per week, and the students still have to go through the interview process and everything. So we cannot guarantee any positions, but once you got employed, then it will help a lot in your tuition as well. Also a graduate international scholarship. It's the same concept, only different amount. So the amount is slightly higher. So for welcome grant, the amount is $3,000 and for one time, and then there's $4,000 per term and $5,000 per term. To let you know, the graduate programs is usually around 4 trimesters or 16 months. That is in average. MBA would be like 2 years in general, or like 6 semester. So as long as the student maintain a 3.0 GPA and a full-time enrollment, then they should be eligible for that. But keep in mind for both scholarship, if the student changed their program midway, so there may be a chance that they might lose their scholarships. So this is the admissions process. We have talked about the admissions information and the tuition fees. Now this is the process. So usually the student will come to Wellspring, and then after that you guys will will be assisting them wonderfully. And then after that, once they decided to say, yes, I want to apply to GGU, then of course, Wellspring will be entering the application through the agent portal. And then once their application is completed, by complete, we will talk about the admissions documents later on. So then we will review the application, and usually it will take around 7 to 10 business days. And keep in mind that sometimes the amount may vary, depends on the application volume. For example, like fall trimester is usually our highest volume of like for that year usually. So just keep, like, that's why I said in the beginning, a timeline, like to have a timeline for the students is really important. So then once their application is reviewed, then they will have an admission decision, and then after that they will go through the the visa applications. They have to submit also their visa documents, and then after that they go through the visa application and the interview. Once they're approved, then we will register them to the classes and then prepare them for the departure. And basically, like, I would like to kind of advise, when submitting the application, please fill up like on the how did you hear about GGU, do the other, and then after that list other method of referral as Wellspring, just so that we can kind of report on that. These are the admissions document requirements. So for admissions documents, we generally require the official university transcripts, English language requirements, statement of purpose, resume. But remember, for statement of purpose and resume, on not every programs will requiring that, because only some of them, I will show you later on. But unless the student have lower GPA, or for graduate, usually it's going to be 3.0. For undergrad, it's usually going to be 2.0. So only for those people, those students, then they will be required to submit a low GPA statement of purpose. These are the English language requirements for countries from here, which I assume actually, unfortunately, none of the countries, nothing from Vietnam, China, or Indonesia, or Taiwan, or any of Southeast Asia actually really is in here, if I'm not mistaken, except Singapore and Philippines. So that means we will still need to require the English language requirements. And once they are admitted, then they can submit the visa documents of the passport, bank letter, and certificate of finance. So these are the GPA requirements that I mentioned. Business analytics, IT management, and HR management and leadership actually requires the SOP and resume. And the GPA requirements for graduate programs, whereas for the undergraduate, we actually only require 2.0 GPA. So we can admit students using the unofficial transcripts actually. So unofficial transcripts is transcript, like a copy of transcript that was provided by students directly. Say if I have my own copy, like I graduated from GGU, I have my own copy and I gave the scanned copy to you, that means it's unofficial. That is fine. Students can be admitted using that, but the copy has to be complete, meaning all the courses that they have taken must be in there, and then including the degree convert or degree certificate is in there as well. It does not apply though for students who graduated from US or Canada institutions, because generally it only takes us maximum 3 business days. No, takes the institution 3 business days to like send it to us. So we don't usually accept the unofficial US or Canada institutions. The copy must be legible, meaning it's not gonna like taking a picture and then all of them are just like full of shadows or full of like reflections. So please like have it scanned properly so that we can read it properly and evaluate it nicely. Otherwise we're just gonna consider, okay, GPA 1.0 and then deny. No, sorry, I'm just kidding. But to prevent a misinformation like that. So after the student is submitting the unofficial transcript, then they will be admitted to subject to documentation admit, in which that they are required to submit the official transcript by the orientation or the end of first term at the latest. So what is considered as official transcripts? I'm sure you all already know this. This is basically the transcripts that are coming directly from the university in a sealed envelope, or if it's digital, it is sent directly from the institutions, especially the university registrar. But another way for official transcript, students can also present their official copy or original copy when they come to the US during their orientation. So they can just like in the orientation, they will show it to us, we will verify it, and then there it should be done, just to make sure that there's no fraudulent information in there. So this is like our certificate of finances. This is our visa documents. So the students must be able to show this amount of money depending on their degrees and certificates that they are enrolled in. For example, if I were enrolled in MBA, that means I have to show proof that I have around 35,370 in my bank account or in that sponsor's bank account. For example, if I was sponsored by my parents, then they have to have this amount of money in their bank letter. And if the students have more than one sponsor, then each sponsor have to submit those certificate of finances and sign it physically and then scan it again to us. So for housing, we do not offer like an on-campus housing. However, we have like a couple of housing partners, and these housing partners are really amazing compared to other, like if you are trying to find it outside. Our partners, because maybe you have heard about it, basically we have like a little bit housing issues in San Francisco. Not only the price is super high, but it's also somehow like really hard to get an affordable, or like sometimes even hard to kind of like get the one that you can actually trust, or like a nice place in general. So we have partners of UC Hastings Academic Village, Minerva Schools at 16 Turk, Park Merced Apartments, Morning Sun Hotel at 6 and Mission. And we also actually partners with Academic of Arts University dormitory, where they actually also offer the meal plan in there. So some of these like housing partners, it's actually really close to us, located really close. It's only like a couple, like 15 minutes by bike, or maybe like you can also using bus, or maybe like even if you feel like walking, it's really not that bad, because it's like, as I mentioned before, we are located right in the downtown area. See, I mentioned earlier Salesforce, there's this Salesforce Park in there. So yeah, and the price usually range around maybe like around 700 or 800 up to like maybe 1,500 if I'm not mistaken. So they are really affordable, and they're really nice and safe in my opinion, compared to the rest. So that is all about Golden Gate University, and that's all about my presentation. Thank you very much for listening, and Darby, I will give the floor back to you.
Yeah, of course. So I will start allowing everyone into the Zoom room. Once you're in, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. You can always type them into the chat or into the Q&A feature as well if you'd rather do that. All right, we have one in the chat. Do you have a certificate program for international students?
So great question. There is actually a couple of certificate programs, but yeah, unfortunately I haven't put it in there, but we it's not all not all of our certificate is offered for international students, but only a couple of them. Actually, if I don't have it on top of my head right now, but if it's okay, I can send a list to you, Darby, and then after that
Yeah. Yep,
yeah,
that works.
yeah, if that's okay. So
Yes, of course. And then I can, the agents, the sales reps will have the list of certificates, so feel free to reach out to your rep at any point and they can get you hooked up.
Mhm.
All right, have we got any other questions tonight? I guess it's only tonight for two of us, probably the morning
Yeah.
for everybody else.
It's still morning for them.
Yeah, yeah. Is there deadlines
For
for
scholarship.
scholarships?
Yeah, so actually not really. We don't really have, like, we have the kind of like a priority deadline, which is basically like if you apply just right before, like actually 2 weeks before the term starts, then, or admitted 2 weeks before the term starts, then you will be getting that. But generally, no, just like our admissions, we have the rolling admissions. So anytime you get admitted, you are already automatically considered to the scholarship itself.
Great. Another question about scholarships. Are there any additional requirements like an essay, personal statement, stuff like that?
No, not necessarily, because as my so go back to these scholarships. So because the scholarship is actually based on the cumulative your former academic history, meaning like say if I apply for graduate, then it will be looked based upon my undergraduate. Say if my undergraduate have 3.0 and my TOEFL is this, so that's basically the determination for the scholarship amount.
Great. All right, we have another question about scholarships. If a student got a DET less than 80, do they get accepted?
May I know what is DET?
I am not sure. Whoever typed in that question, could you clarify?
DT Duolingo.
Oh, Duolingo
Oh,
score.
Duolingo. I see. For Duolingo, actually, we will usually, if they have less than the requirement, so actually, if it's less than 80 for undergraduate or less than 100, then we will usually have them to like retake it. Otherwise, we can't really safely admit them with, because we want to make sure that they are able to follow the courses. So that's why we may ask them, like we may get back to them and then, request for them to retake the English language requirements. Actually, we are actually planning to have a process where the student can actually start at our English schools. So at our English schools partners. So say if the students are not like could not satisfy the English language requirements, then they may have the options to go to our partners and then go through their English programs there. And then once they completed the program, then they can submit, sorry, no, then they can start the programs with GGU.
Great. We have a question. If the student was dismissed by a former institution, will GGU accept their application with a dismissal record?
Ooh, I need more information. Did the student ended up not graduating? Or they were previously enrolled in graduate programs and then got disqualified and wanted to transfer to GGU? Can anonymous attendee can you elaborate more to the questions? But generally, if the students dismissed by the former institutions, by dismissed I would assume disqualified. So if they're that, then and they never earned their degree, that means they will not be eligible to GGU. However, if they were previously, say, like they were in undergraduate and then they wanted to transfer to us, to our undergraduate, to the same level, then yes, we may look on like into it on by case basis to see on like as to why did the student got dismissed. And again, the personal statement will be required for them to explain as to like the reasons, and then it will be the decision will be up to the program chairs on that matter.
Great. Oh, same person. Dismissal record regarding a very low GPA, but his high school performance was great. So did well in high school, continued on, and then was
So are
let
they
go of school because they weren't performing academically, I assume.
So I assume they will be applying to undergraduate. So if it's undergraduate, then as I mentioned, if it's going to be, if they were disqualified in undergraduate and then wanted to apply to GGU for undergraduate, then we can look into it on case by case basis. But if they're planning to apply for graduate, then they definitely will not be eligible because they have not earned the undergraduate degree.
Great.
I hope that answered your question. Feel free to type in more if more details to it.
Yeah, I see some questions about American Success and associate programs. So we had a webinar just last week or the week before about American Honors and American Success. So students who want to attend GGU through the American Success, American Honors program, this information does not apply. That is a different program. So I can share the webinar info for the American Honors, American Success webinar, and that would have the most accurate information for students who would like to do an associate program or the American Success program.
Yeah, I think I see two questions related to the associate programs in there.
Yes, we have. Oh yeah. After a student completes AA program, can they continue to bachelor program? Is there any other requirements? So that would be about that would be a question for American Honors, American Success, not for GGU, as it is a separate program. Once a student graduates from the associates program, then they're able to apply to a plethora of universities, so that would be up to the student. But again, that information is readily available in the webinar recording of the webinar we had just a little bit ago on all of that. So I'll make sure that it's actually posted on our YouTube if anyone wants to see it, but your rep can also direct you to the right place to view that information. So then we have question, can you accept provisional first results first while we wait for the student to finish high school?
So I assume the student is planning to go to the undergraduate program. Is that
Yes.
correct? Yeah. So if that's the case, we will actually wait until they finish their high school first. Because our admissions teams because the reason being is kind of like this, we only accept students based on the high school, and generally if the transcripts or are not there yet, if they kind of like if they haven't graduated yet, so we may kind of like wait a little bit for the admissions, fortunately.
So just to clear up any confusion, Wellspring only admits students to GGU for graduate programs unless they go through the American Success, American Honors program. So those are the two routes for students to attend GGU, is to do an associate's 2-year program through American Honors, American Success, or to do a graduate program and they're on through Golden Gate specifically. So hopefully that answers any questions. I know we went over a little bit of undergrad information. I think it helps to give a little bit of a better view of what GGU is, what they have to offer, and what kind of university they are. But that information is not necessarily applicable for certain students.
Hi, Rosita. Just a quick one. If students or parents want to get a bit more information about housing and accommodation, is there a resource for them to explore that a little bit, to see some pictures, or just to get a sense of the rooms and the setup there?
Maybe not the room, but there is definitely a web page for
Accommodation.
the housing. Yes.
Okay.
Let me pull that up and share it to you.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. Oops. The plus at the end is an accidental typing, so
I think the link still works just fine.
yeah, I think the link still works, thankfully.
Great.
Yeah, that's great. That works fine. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So I will stop sharing here.
All right, looks like we have another message. Would you share the differences of associate degrees in at GGU if we compare it with community colleges in California? Yeah, I have a flyer. The reps can, if you get in contact with your regional rep, we have flyers about GGU's associate programs specifically and how they rank among different community colleges and all that kind of information. You just need to contact your rep for that. All right, have we got any other questions? I apologize for the confusion about undergraduate, associate programs, and graduate through GGU Direct and American Honors. But I am happy to share the American Honors webinar so that anyone who needs it can get a little bit more information on how that program differs from the programs we talked about today. Great. Well, if there is no more questions, then we will wrap up the webinar. Thank you to everyone who joined and was here to learn a little bit more about Golden Gate University. We always appreciate your attendance. Huge thank you to Rosita for presenting for us. That was amazing. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to share that information with us. I know that I appreciate it, and so many of the other people in this Zoom appreciate it as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Darby. And once again, I can't express how much I'm grateful for you, for all of you. And thank you for listening to Golden Gate University and getting to know us. And if you ever come to San Francisco, let us know and we will be more than happy to host you here. So yeah, thank you all.
Thanks, Rosita.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Darby.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Darby.